Fred, I still love you.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome to an all-new episode of Road Trip After Hours. I'm your host, MacDavis, along with my co-host, which is Mr. WWE Hall of Famer Teddy Long. Hey, Teddy, how you doing?
I'm doing good, Mac. Good to see you today. You look real fresh. So, have you had some rest?
I've had some rest and and a good meal, which is always important. Speaking of which, we're going to talk about good meals in a minute. You're going to some lip smacking good food that I see on a daily basis from our guest and his wife that we'll talk about in just a minute. But we do have a special guest today, Teddy. This is a guy that I grew up for my days of growing up in wrestling. There were certain eras of people that I remember, and this guy falls right in there with all the stuff I grew up with in wrestling. He worked in the WWF from 1989 to 1993. He was known as the Big Steel Man, Tugboat Typhoon. He was also big friends with Hulk Hogan at one point until he turned to become a heel as part of the Natural Disasters. We'll talk about that as well. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Fred Ottman. Hey, Fred, you got a guest, I see.
Hey, how you doing? You see up there? I'm just catting around here with my pal. She's nosy hole. She wants to know what's going on.
That's fantastic. That is absolutely great. I love that. That is great.
And she's just a watching too.
Oh, yeah. Oh my God. You know, I'm staying with Bob Cook's staying with us now, and he was on the phone with doing one of these with some people in Ireland last night, and I was working out outside and I heard him. And it sounded like there was a fight going on in here. He was so loud. I'm like, oh my God. But the cat runs the house. That's Mr. Barbie there behind
me. Mr. Barbie.
Very good.
Mr. Barbie.
Very good.
Well, make sure to tell Bob I said hello too, because I see Bob from time to time. Tell him I said hello.
Yeah, do that. Be sure to do that for me too, because me and Bob, we go way back to Florida days, man. Golly, man.
Oh man.
And what a super nice guy, man. So please tell him I said hello.
Oh, I definitely will. Thank you, Teddy.
Right.
There's a lot of people who watch this who may not know Fred, and you need to go back and look at some of the classic days of WWF to find out what Fred is capable of doing. But a lot of you may know him, but not realize you know him. You know, for a lot of our younger viewers, you may have seen this guy that wore a stormtrooper helmet with a lot of glitter on it, falling through a wall in WCW. That was the Shockmaster. And I know, and Fred, this is something that I want to start with because everybody knows the Shockmaster. But at the time when that happened, it had to be to you like, oh God, this is the worst thing that has ever happened. But now, all these years later, the Shockmaster is so huge. It's a cult following.
Oh, yeah. I have people want to take they get their pictures taken. He's right in the box behind me, matter of fact. But they want to get their pictures taken, but I'm like, there's so many matches in the past. It was horrific.
Yep.
And I got more heat from the boys, ribbing me all the time about it than anything else. If it was that kind of, if it was reality, it would have been about a case of beer to get back to Tampa from Daytona Beach when it happened. It's live. And it was, I explained, I says, it was live. There ain't no do-overs. There ain't no retakes. It wasn't like in the WWF days where Vince would come out screaming and yelling because he didn't like the way the match went, and he put it to the fourth hour in a TV segment. You know what I'm saying? I want you guys to do that match over. You're going to wrestle again. And it was a different time, different place. But, I go, you know what? You know how many guys that I've seen that are top performers that have had Shockmaster moments in their careers? I've watched one of the Von Erichs go to make the hot tag, go to jump over the top rope, catch both of his toes on the top rope and fall flat on his face in the midst of making the hot tag, But there's so many things. I go and I talk to kids all the time that have seen it and all that. Says, if you haven't seen it, this is something you need to sit down with your dad, have him pulled up on YouTube, and you'll have a great laugh at my expense. But it's like that. Everybody has a Shockmaster moment as far as it could be at work, it could be at school, it could be with friends in their life. So I says, enjoy it at my expense, and you'll put a smile on your face. But I I've let it. I've had 2 different figures, a couple of different figures, and other things that have come forth because of that. So
absolutely,
it was a good thing all the way around.
Teddy, you were about to say something?
Yeah, and here's the thing I want to say, Fred. I'm so glad you brought this up because this is the whole thing that's right here on my mind. Those guys in WCW, they missed the boat with that. If that would have happened in WWF or WWE at the time, Vince would have taken that. Even though that happened, like it did happen, Vince would have taken that and he would have made that into a story. Vince would have taken that and like if Fred was the babyface, he'd have had Fred do something like, hey, I know what happened. You guys set me up to try to make me look bad or something around them storyline. But Vince would have took it and used it. That's just how smart he was. Those guys just laughed it off like it was some big joke. They didn't think about that there was money in it.
Well, let me ask you.
I talked to Crockett at a signing in Carolina.
Yep.
And he was talking to me about that incident. He goes, they didn't know what to do with it from the get-go. You know what I'm saying? They put that helmet on. I got that helmet about 30 minutes before I was supposed to do the gimmick. And it was live.
Did you see outside the eye holes? Because it looks like it's just plastered with glitter.
Well, it is plastered with glitter. The thing is, they drilled eye holes, but the glitter was coming through the eye holes.
Yeah.
And so you could barely see out of it with the holes that were in it. And then what they did is that, I don't know if Teddy, you remember Janie Ingalls? She was a secretary in the office there.
Janie, yes, I remember
Texas.
Janie.
Her mama was, back in the day with the funks and everything also. And they made her take her pantyhose off and she had dark pantyhose on and cut patches over them to glue over the eye holes. Okay, so to take a bad scenario into one that was worse, to keep the glitter out of my eyes, they put them patches on there. Okay. And then Mike Graham was the one that gave me the cue. Okay. And there was no way to microphone that thing because Lord knows I could do a promo. And he's like, they gave it to Ole, and to do the voiceover. But I'm there at the wall and I'm 6 inches from the wall because you can't see. And Mike goes, Fred, they didn't gimmick this wall. It was 2x4s, okay, like studs in your house every 12 to 14 inches. I broke 5 busting through the wall. But there was a board right below my knees, okay, as an extra support board because they had built the set for Flair for the Gold for the so that it was, strong and that because of the extra height.
Yeah.
Well, I double axe handled the wall, snapped these boards, but I hit it so hard that I became a teeter-totter because I busted through the top. I can't see, how do you see to tell, to bust what you bust first? And the next thing you know, it's all history. The helmet comes off like a champagne cork at New Year's Eve. And there I am. And all I'm thinking is like, turn your face to hide your face, pull the helmet, grab up, and start doing the gimmick and pantomiming the whole deal and the looks on guys' faces and the underbreath stuff that's being said. It's just priceless. It was priceless. When I did finish the segment and I went to the back and I was just so pissed off about this whole deal. I'm like, what a hell of a debut. It's an angle that they were going to do to go into the next pay-per-view, which was in New Orleans, the 2-ring cage match deal, over there. And I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, I was like, this is such bullshit, and as I walk into the gorilla position, there's Dusty with tears in his eyes, laughing so hard because of the thing, I know that he felt sorry for me, but also just laughing his ass off. And any other segment, I would have felt the same way, but I was like, in other words, just to fail as far as my heart goes, because I love this business and for something to happen like that. And it's inevitable that these things happen. So there was no way to circumvent it or go around it. It's just another part of history in wrestling.
I just love that failed gimmick is still alive and well today. That's just, to me, it was a godsend right there. Boom.
Well,
like,
the
you know
thing
what?
about,
Yeah.
and the
I'm
other
sorry,
good
Ted.
part about it is, you didn't get hurt. That's
Yeah.
number one. Okay, that's good. You didn't get hurt. You survived that. But like I said, man, Vince, he would have took that and turned that into something right there. And like
yeah.
you could like promos, like you come out, like you were just saying that Dusty came out, but it was the funniest thing. You could
Yeah.
start going to the desk, and the announcers as they start talking to you, they're laughing. And you're just
Yes.
looking at them. What's so funny?
Let me ask
you
you,
know,
Fred, after that happened and you
Yes.
got up and you went to the back, I mean, the moment you're
Yeah.
going back there, there's got to be a lot of people around in the back as you're coming through. Are they all
Yes.
falling down laughing, or are they all just horrified?
It was a hell of an ego booster. You know what I'm saying? You know,
Yeah,
And I'm like,
all that's good stuff right there. That is good. To film all of them laughing. All that's good stuff.
yeah.
I enjoyed it when I saw Haku recently when they did an episode on Shockmaster,
Yes,
and Haku
yes.
got to see it for the first time. He had never
Oh, my
seen
God.
that video. His reaction was priceless.
Oh,
His
it is
laugh
priceless,
was
but it
infectious.
was nice. He goes, "Oh, Fred, I love you,
Yeah.
brother." But, he says, "You effed up."
Look, during your time in WWE, before you even got over to become Shockmaster, you had several gimmicks that worked very well and were huge. You had the opportunity to work with Hulk Hogan. What was that like, Fred, getting in the ring with Hulk Hogan?
It was awesome. Other than the fact I had to pee 3 to 5 times before I went out into the ring because I was so nervous. I'm working with the heavyweight champion of the world.
Yeah.
And I was a mark, I'm like, and when I did go there, I was like, have I put in enough time to be worthy? Because when I walked through the gates to my first dark match, it was in Niagara Falls. And I remember to this day, I walked through a curtain because they didn't have dressing rooms, big, long curtain. When I walked through the curtain, I seen every great champion and belt holder from every territory that there was. Vince stole them all when he put that act together. It was like the circus. The circus has come to town and claimed all the acts. There was nothing anywhere. All the talent from all those territories, all over the country and even overseas. He brought, to WWF at that time. And, but it was a great honor to be there among them. But, you're thinking in your head, am I worthy enough to be here? Was my biggest thing. I'm going to work my butt off and do whatever I need to do. But I was very apprehensive when I first walked through and seen that all the talent and everything. Well, and I've worked with, I had the opportunity in the territory. That's why when I came into the wrestling business, I started in Texas. I actually went to Atlanta first for a tryout, and I was in the car with 2 veterans on either side of me. Psycho Negro was one, and the Batman back in the day, Tony Marino from the Carolinas. He was on the other side. We're out of the town 15 minutes, and a guy named Ron Slinker is driving us in an Eldorado Cadillac. I'm in the back seat with a guy on each side. 15 minutes outside the thing there. This is my first time going anywhere, and they're coming. We're going up to them to take a look at me, and they're both snoring with their heads on my shoulders. And I look up in the mirror. I'm like, it was like surreal. And Slinker looks back. He goes, "Well, kid, that's how you can tell a real veteran. They can sleep anywhere." And that was my introduction onto the road to going to the first territory. And then I went up there, and there was great guys there. I was so green, I didn't know what kayfabe was.
Ooh.
Now,
weren't you you're related somehow to Dusty? Is that correct?
He was my brother-in-law for my first marriage.
Okay.
Yes. Cody's my nephew, and Dustin's my nephew, and Sags the Nasty Boys is my other brother-in-law through marriage.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I did. You said you had a lot of family there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Any crazy road stories that you can remember from your days in WWE?
Man. So many. There's just so many. If I ever wrote a book, it would be behind the curtain and under the mat. Because all they want, all fans want to know about is the dirt, on the road. And as you guys know, there's plenty of dirt.
Oh yeah, this stuff that you can't even talk about. Yeah.
When I'm in the old wrestler's home, one of these days with the dementia, I'll be in the corner giggling and laughing, thinking about all those road stories. You know, me and Quake were big Stephen King fans. We did a double shot. We drove up to where his house is in New England the night before and stayed at the hotel there. We had an afternoon show there, and Stephen King is a huge wrestling fan, huge. So he usually comes to the shows, and it was a spot Showtown. And so we're there wrestling, we're looking, all that stuff. He never came. We wrestled that, but we had to take it. We had books with us, we wanted to get signed and all the whole deal, you know, and we didn't get that. So we go to his house. We found out from security, well, he didn't come today because he's taking his kids to the ice skating ring. It was in the wintertime. It was like 25, 30 below zero. Ooh. We're up there, snow up to our butts. And so we go to his house, which looks like it's one of his books, you know, like a barn red cemetery Victorian house on a big lot with wrought iron fence like you'd find in a cemetery. And he's there, and we're there, and we're taking pictures of stuff. There's 3-headed dragons on top of the gate going into the door to the house. There's spider webs out of iron and spiders on them and the whole 9 yards. So we're out there. Here's these 2 big buffaloes, and we're taking pictures in sweatsuits and that stuff, and, you know, and the whole 9 yards. Across the streets, all these neighbors looking out their storm doors at these 2 big retards that are out there, you know, and they're like, you know, shaking their, you know, head and everything like that. And all of a sudden, Quake yells to me, look, he's coming, look. And the house sat back off the road. So there's a Suburban up under the carport that's at the house that started up, and he's running down the ice-filled sidewalk to the double gate to come out of this house. And he's running down there. I'm like, he's going to fall on his ass. And I'm like, we're going to be here at Stephen King's house filling out a report. And he runs down there, Mr. King, on the sidewalk. And he gets to the gate about the same time the car is pulling out. And I'm walking down the sidewalk. And I get down there, and sure enough, it's Stephen King, and he's driving the Suburban, and across the whole dashboard is glued probably 100 California raisin figurine on the dashboard. And he's, you know, if you've seen his movie, he's a goof. He does those cameos, and he comes out there, and he's just excited to see us. He knew who we were as we were to see him, you know, and we got some photo ops and stuff with him and everything. But it's, you know, one of the tamest stories I could tell you.
That's pretty good. I didn't know Stephen King was a wrestling fan. That's something I just learned. So
his book, Needful Things, he talks about mentions Chief Jay Strongbow in there. You know, I mean, you know, it's just like the guy with the Bundys, Married with Children. You know, he was a huge wrestling fan. That's why they're called the Bundys, after Bundy. And Bundy did a cameo with one of the other guys in it.
I remember that. I remember that cameo.
The next door neighbors of the Rhodes family, after, you know, Dusty Rhodes.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know why I never put that together.
You know,
let me ask you something, Fred. We could talk all day, and I mean, Teddy and I just know how. No. It's
I'm a
good
talker.
thing. It's a good thing. I like hearing the old road stories. But I know you're in Tennessee now. You've moved to Tennessee. What part of Tennessee are you in now?
I'm in a little town called Centerville, Tennessee. I'm an hour and 15 minutes from Nashville International Airport. And I'm surrounded by Dixon, Columbia, and all these. But, you know, I worked this territory. They used to run the National Guard Armory here. Lawler did back in the day, him and Jarrett.
Yep.
But I moved. We bought a house about almost 5 years ago up here, and my wife was still working in St. Petersburg and doing what she does. And so we decided to move. I said, something happens to me, what are you going to do? Because we already we were going to retire to Panama City, Florida. And I was like, she goes, well, I'd move home with because of the kids, grandkids, and her family. And I'm like, why wait? Let's do it. Same thing Ricky Steamboat did. He always been on the beach his whole life, and he moved with his new wife up to East Tennessee, and so that was kind of cool. I never thought I'd see that.
I know, and your wife, by the way, I hope it's okay to say her name, but Sheila,
Sure.
who I've known for
Sheila,
years as well.
Yes.
Sheila is a sweetheart, but she also has a passion for cooking. And you combined her passion for cooking to give her something to do, it seems like, so she can feed and let other people taste that food. Tell us about, you got a brand new restaurant now.
It's called Bubba's Filling Station Cafe. I wrestled here as Big Bubba back in the day. It's Bubba's Filling Station Cafe. It was a early 1960s filling station that we converted over the course of a year to a little restaurant. It's real. It's an eclectic bunch of all different weird things. People come in, they go, we didn't know it would be this big inside. You know, there's people there that got their cars worked on. A guy here that drives one of the wreckers. He helped when he was 12, helped lay the block for the foundation of this building. I have a 1958 fire truck that sits on the property. I got a tractor. We've got a 53 Chevrolet tow truck that I had a guy paint like Tow Mater out of cars, and people do photo ops with them and all kind of stuff. And we have fun with it. I've always been a car guy. I love old cars and hot rods, and I have a lot of patrons here in Tennessee. Is like many other parts of the country where, you know, guys are into old cars and stuff. They drive up, you know, and these just cool rides, and I'll post pictures of them occasionally and stuff like that. We're just getting started with the doing all the stuff on the internet and that with our Facebook page and everything. But it's a meet and three kind of place. It's not like, you know, anybody that's been from the country or been around the country. You know, we got sweet tea. We got that sweet tea. Yes. And we have all homemade desserts, banana pudding with cow slobbers on it. I had a lady ask, what's cow slobbers? I says, meringue. Not whipped cream that she puts on her banana pudding. It's all old school. I had pinto beans and cornbread today, along with steak and gravy, green beans, mashed potatoes.
Teddy, you got to see this food, brother. They post this food, and I sent Fred a message the other day. I said, "You got to tell her to stop. I'm on a diet, and this is killing me."
It's good.
What dying to eat?
No, I'm trying to lose a little bit of weight before I get into St. Louis.
Oh my Lord! It's a food that's good for the soul. That's all I can tell you.
Yeah, that's what it reminds me of. And I kept thinking, anybody who lives in that area, if you're not going to Bubba's Filling Station and getting some of that great food from Sheila, you're missing out. And you've only been open. How long have you actually been open now?
About a month in it. Well, what happened was we were open 3 days, and while she was working, she had like a TIA, a mini stroke. Yeah. And I rushed her to the hospital in my car to Dixon, Tennessee, to the hospital and everything. She went through that, and she was out of the picture. We were shut down for about 14 to 16 days. Yeah. And it was one of those, you know, but, you know, my honey comes first. Yes. You know, I'm sorry, you know, that feisty little girl, she's first and foremost. And then she says, I want to get everything open up and everything like that. And I got a couple of friends that'll be coming up from down in St. Petersburg that's going to come up here and stay with us and help her now, because that was the main deal. Good. But we were, you know, we had to cut back our hours. We're open Monday through Thursday till 5 in the afternoon. We open up at 11. We don't do breakfast. And because she's there at 5 a.m. and she's, you know, smoking, you know, butts and cooking, you know, and doing prep and all that stuff, and cooking desserts and, you know, the whole 9 yards. Everything is fresh.
That's what I love about it. That's why it caught my eye. Everything looks so good, and you could tell that it was made, because I know Sheila. I just knew that you could look at the food and go, "That's this kind of stuff that I grew up with. This is real food. This isn't instant stuff being thrown in a pan. This is homemade good food."
And nothing's fried. There ain't nothing fried under that roof. Everything's. We got a big grill outside. Our burgers are half pound and pound burgers. We got the Bubba burger, and he's a pound. 2 big patties and 80-20 ground beef, and what do you want on it is what you can get on it. You know, it's good as far as that goes. Everything is wholesome and good.
Again, Fred, thank you so much for being with us. Freddie, Teddy, you got anything you want to hop in here and ask before we have to go? I'm sorry, I've been kind of just going at it.
Well,
I'm
that's
sorry.
okay, man. That's all right, man. I mean, I think we had a great conversation with Fred. I'm just glad to know about the restaurant, and I'm glad we was able to promote that for him, let people know
Thank you.
what he's got going on. And I promise you, if I get any bookings near that way, I'm going to give you a call so I can get
You're
back.
always welcome, Teddy. You're always welcome. Are you going to be in St. Louis too?
Yes, sir. I'm looking forward to seeing you there.
Yeah,
awesome.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, for those who are watching, all three of us will be sitting in St. Louis again this year for the second Fan Fest 2 in St. Louis, part of the SICW organization. You can get your tickets, as a matter of fact, by going to SICW.org. It starts on Friday night with Bill Apter's one-man show. Then the next day, it's the Fan Fest, the Hall of Fame, and, of course, wrestling that night. So it's going to be a fantastic event. And, Fred, you were there with us last year. I'm going to close out the show with that little bit that we did a year ago when we were up there when he interrupted one of our games.
You had that Shockmaster moment? Is that
Shockmaster moment, yeah.
All right, Teddy, this game is called Jingo. Now, the object of the game is to remove all the little blocks without knocking it over. If you knock it over, you lose. Right? All right, now, I'll tell you what. You lose, I'll buy you a steak dinner. If I win, you buy me a steak dinner. Fair enough?
All right.
Now, it's easy.
Sounds a little shady, but all right.
You start out by just pushing one of these out here. Let's see if I can find one. Right. Almost out. There we go.
I told you. Not again. Hey, you owe me dinner.